Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're diving right into an incredibly powerful explainer centered on a topic that affects literally every single one of us, every single day. We are talking about speaking like a leader, effective communication skills for leadership. We so often picture leadership as, a CEO in a high-rise boardroom, barking orders in a fancy tailored suit. But honestly, the truth is that true leadership happens at the kitchen table on a busy Saturday morning, or in your neighborhood during a sudden crisis, or even in the classroom when a group project is just completely falling apart. Whether you realize it or not, leadership isn't just some title you're handed. It's a series of actions. And more importantly, it's about how you speak to the people around you. Based on structured life and career skills training, we're going to unpack exactly how to speak so that others don't just hear you, but actually feel guided, motivated, and truly supported. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the masterclass journey we are taking today. 1. The cost of confusion. 2. The leader's toolkit. 3. Real-world scenarios. 4. The art of feedback. And 5. Your personal action plan. Starting with Section 1, the cost of confusion. So let me ask you this. Have you ever received confusing instructions from a leader? Think about a time a project or a group task completely fell apart. Not because people didn't want to work, but simply because no one knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing. Maybe you were told to just, quote, bring the supplies to a massive family barbecue, only to realize you brought stacks of paper napkins when they desperately needed the actual food. What happened in that exact moment? Well, misunderstandings compound, morale drops instantly, and suddenly everybody is stressed out and hungry. When a leader doesn't communicate with absolute clarity, the entire foundation of the team cracks. The shared goal just feels entirely impossible to reach. Consider the massive difference between these two very common approaches. On one hand, you hear someone yell, "Do the thing now, hurry up." Okay, wow, that's stressful, right? Psychologically, this actually triggers our brain's fight or flight response. It pumps adrenaline, it blocks critical thinking, and it puts the team member immediately on the defensive. Now, imagine instead hearing, "Please gather the cleaning supplies so we can start the cleanup drive." It is literally night and day. One creates instant panic and resentment, while the other provides a really clear, respectful roadmap. Choosing the appropriate words and tone doesn't just make you sound nicer. It directly dictates your team's ability to succeed by keeping them focused and calm. Moving on to Section 2, the leader's communication toolkit. Now, what's really interesting about this is that a leader's voice isn't a blunt instrument. It's more like a versatile, highly calibrated multi-tool. You can't just bark orders and expect excellence. Effective leadership relies on balancing active listening, clarity, empathy, and respectful language all at the same time. You also absolutely have to master your nonverbal communication. Why? Because your body language and your facial expressions, they speak volumes before you even open your mouth. And crucially, you need to know exactly how to give feedback and check for understanding. These aren't isolated skills. Empathy without clarity is just a nice kind of confusing conversation, and clarity without empathy, well, that's just dictatorial. You really can't lead effectively without utilizing all of these tools working perfectly in concert. Let's break down the most critical foundational step first, which is active listening. This is the practice of listening first before answering a team member's concern. And honestly, this is often the hardest skill for leaders to master. Human nature, and frankly our own egos, make us want to jump in and solve the problem immediately. We want to be the hero with the quick fix. Actually, scratch that, it's more like we just want to get the problem off our plate. But you simply cannot guide a team if you don't actually know where they are currently standing. A leader has got to absorb information, lower their own defenses, understand the very real barriers their team is facing, and genuinely hear their concerns before ever making a single decision. Next up is clarity. This simply means giving instructions in simple, easy-to-understand words. So why is this so incredibly vital? Well, people often think that using complicated jargon or trying to sound overly academic makes them look like a better, smarter leader. But true intelligence in leadership is taking a complex task and making it sound incredibly simple to execute. Vague terms create disastrous misunderstandings. Look, when you are working on a livelihood project or trying to meet a strict product order deadline, time is literally money. Simple language cuts right through the noise, ensures every single person is on the exact same page, and keeps the project moving forward smoothly without any unnecessary delays. Then we have empathy, understanding and sharing the feelings of your team members. In many communities, this connects beautifully and directly to the core Filipino value of bayanihan. That's working together with communal unity, patience, fairness, and deep compassion. Think about the classic visual of bayanihan. Neighbors literally carrying a nipa hut on their shoulders together. That physical act requires immense empathy.
You have to know if the person standing right next to you is struggling under the weight, and you have to organically shift the load to help them out. Empathy in communication means recognizing when a team member is overwhelmed and adjusting your approach to support them rather than just demanding blind results.
Which brings us to Section 3, Real-World Leadership Scenarios. Let's walk through these arenas deliberately because it proves that leadership happens absolutely everywhere. Look at the family setting. Here, leadership is navigating the intense tension of assigning household chores fairly on a busy Saturday morning without starting a huge argument. In a livelihood context, it's managing a panicked team to meet a massive product order deadline on time when your resources are super tight. In your barangay or your neighborhood, it might be managing the chaos of dividing roles for a community cleanup drive after a heavy storm. And in an educational setting, like an ALS class, it's leading a group report where everyone has totally different skill levels. The incredible versatility of these communication skills means that mastering them empowers you to step up and bring order to chaos in absolutely any environment you find yourself in. Now, when things inevitably go wrong, and they will, let's go back to our barangay cleanup group for a second. Imagine half the team is at the wrong park, and the other half is bagging recycling completely incorrectly. It's a massive misunderstanding. Here is the chronological process a leader must take to solve the crisis. Step 1. Listen before deciding. Seriously, don't start yelling or pointing fingers, just listen. Step 2. Ask questions to uncover exactly where the communication breakdown happened. Did they get the wrong map? What went wrong? And step 3, give clear instructions to reset the team and get everyone back on track safely and efficiently. And this brilliantly illustrates the next point. There is a massive psychological difference between asking, "Do you understand?" and asking, "Can everyone repeat their assigned task before we start?" When a leader simply asks that people understand what happens, the team will almost always just nod yes, just to avoid embarrassment or conflict in front of the group. But asking them to gently repeat the task back creates a really safe psychological space. It actively ensures absolute clarity, it gives team members a natural chance to speak up if they're confused, and it solidifies the entire battle plan before any real work or any wasted effort actually begins. Next up, Section 4, the art of feedback. Just listen to the stark difference between these two approaches. Unhelpful feedback sounds like, "Your report was bad." Okay, this is incredibly vague, it triggers anxiety, it shuts the person down emotionally, and honestly, it offers absolutely zero path for improvement. Now consider the helpful feedback. Your report was organized, but next time please speak louder. This uses the classic sandwich method. It highlights a strength first, which maintains their confidence and validates their hard work, and then it gives a highly specific, actionable piece of advice. This is exactly how you motivate a quiet or struggling team member instead of discouraging them from ever trying again. I understand that this task is difficult. Let us help one another. This is what blending empathy and respect physically sounds like in practice. When you have a team that is struggling, acknowledging the difficulty out loud validates their lived experience. It removes that paralyzing fear of failure and replaces it with a really powerful spirit of cooperation and mutual accountability. Vulnerability from a leader, just acknowledging that a task is hard, breeds intense, long-lasting loyalty from a team. So the crucial point we are making today is captured right here. Effective leaders communicate not only to give orders, but to guide, motivate, and solve problems. A boss manages tasks, but a true leader manages people. If you are just dictating orders from the back of the room, you're relying solely on authority, and authority naturally runs out eventually. True leadership relies on influence. A true leader leads from the front, using their communication to lift the entire group up and navigate through complex challenges together. Finally, Section 5, your personal action plan. Before your next big meeting, or honestly, even before you assign chores to your family this weekend, I challenge you to take a deep breath and repeat this guide to yourself like a daily mantra. I will listen carefully, I will make instructions clear, I will show empathy, I will give feedback respectfully, I will check for understanding. I highly encourage you to adopt these exact prompts in your own life. They are so much more than just bullet points on a screen. They are your personal blueprint for successfully stepping up and leading in your daily life. To wrap up, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Which communication skill will you specifically practice as a leader this week? Please, don't let this explainer just be something you watched passively and then immediately forgot about. Active learning requires action. So pick one specific skill right now. Maybe it's active listening at the dinner table, or maybe it's checking for understanding during a big work project. Whatever it is, commit to practicing it in your community this week. True leadership starts with the very next word you choose to say. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely look forward to seeing how you apply these powerful skills in your everyday lives.